Nirja, you see that happening? You see one out of every existing Aam Aadmi Party supporter switching across to the BJP? Helping them?
I don't.
You don't?
Again, having talked around different sections, different parts of Delhi in recent days, and if you look at the Chanakya exit poll, it gives you community-wise breakup. And whether it's the Punjabi Khatris, whether it's the Baniyas, Purvanchalis, they are more than evenly divided in favor of the AAP. So that means the AAP has had an appeal cutting across caste, community, class also.
Absolutely.
Therefore, I think I would say that we are headed towards a sweep kind of situation.
A sweep kind of situation. So we've looked at the mathematics of it. All of us seem to agree right now. I'm keeping myself detached from it for a moment, but most people appear to agree that we're heading towards a sweep for the AAP kind of situation tomorrow.
What's interesting is the BJP's attempt to woo a section of Congress voters to its side with the so-called Krishna Tirath card and all of this sort of, in other words, trying to appeal to Dalit voters that who traditionally are considered Congress vote bank, to go not to AAP but to the BJP.
That's like a desperate situation.
Well, yeah, and I think if Krishna Tirath, I think this will be a test of what kind of a support, what kind of loyalty does she generate in the city, and there may not be good news for her.
She lost very badly.
She lost very badly.
She lost very badly in the Lok Sabha polls.
Not only that, the Lok Sabha, in all the scheduled castes,
she lost her deposit.
Very close to the BJP.
Yeah, Jay, I think your mic audio is not fixed yet, so I'm not going across to you very often. Well, the point is, therefore, if that is the case, Ashish, Priyanka, how do you feel, first of all, with this situation? The only reference to the Congress party today is in the context of who's trying to take away your vote. It's almost as if you're up for grabs, right? And the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party both are targeting your residual voters.
No, all I'd like to say here is all the sarcasm, all the criticism is only adding on to me getting more patient with time. And all the criticism will only help us grow stronger. Maybe Delhi elections may not go our way, but we will try and reconnect with our people again, and we will try to build that confidence again.
Well, you're being very modest out here. Before I go to my next question, I'd like Jay, to just I'll just very, very quickly introduce 3 of our properties which we are putting out tomorrow as part of our analysis. Jay, I think your mic's not hooked up yet, but yes, you can take me through it if you...
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a sample of a spectrum. Yeah. And the spectrum basically is, and this is the way to read an election tomorrow, there will be one line below which will tell you how many seats lean towards AAP strong, AAP mild, the swing seats, BJP mild and BJP strong, making the assumption that this is primarily a 2-horse race. Yeah. And then later the bar above will light up. Yeah. If you see a lot of breaches within this deep maroon belt of the AAP strong, for example, if you were to see a lot of saffron here, then you get a broad, immediate pictorial sense that the BJP is eating into the AAP strongholds. On the other hand, if you find a lot of maroon eating into your yellow and your orange bands out here, it gives you a sense, and Jay, you can explain this, that the AAP is beginning to eat into each other's strongholds. So it's a visual representation. All you need to do is look at this graph, which is not going to be full tomorrow. It's going to start with a pure white bar, and then it'll be filled up as the results come. So we expect by about 10:30, the bar above will be lit up. You'll get a visual sense. Jay, how does this, how does the spectrum help you?
It simply means what is Party A's ability to walk or run through the strongholds of Party B. So start with areas of highest strength of Party A. So Krishna Nagar is actually here. It's the #1 seat.
Yeah.
And the Aam Aadmi Party strongholds like Sangam, Vihar and Devli and Ambedkar Nagar are bright there.
The second, very quickly to go through, what you'll see tomorrow is called a firewall. Here's a sample firewall. A firewall is a visual description of a constituency where a party has won 3 elections in a row.
Right.
So you win 3 elections in a row, it's just going to come on your screen like this with the firewall, and it'll tell you who's breached whose stronghold. A firewall is important. For example, when you're actually looking at Congress seats or BJP seats, tomorrow I expect a lot of BJP or Congress firewalls to be breached if the Aam Aadmi Party were to do very well.
Absolutely. We are especially looking at a lot of Congress strongholds to be breached. For example, Sultanpur Majra, in reality, in the Vidhan Sabha, the Congress led there. In the Lok Sabha, the AAP took a lead there. So these are sort of seats.
So you need to look at the screen and look at the spectrum and firewall. We're going to keep repeating these properties as the election analysis goes on. And of course, then there is the cluster, because we here at Times Now believe you can't divide Delhi only into 7 geographical zones and 7 Lok Sabha constituencies. You have to look at the social and demographic factors behind a particular area. We have broken down several clusters. For example, we have a Purvanchali cluster, we have a Jhuggi Jhopri cluster, we have a cluster which is called AAP Not 1 cluster.
Absolutely.
And AAP Not 1, for example,
is the seats where the AAP did not win last time. More interesting, we're actually tracking the AAP strategy of having defectors from other party. So there are 15 defectors from, you'll enjoy that tomorrow. So we'll have all those defectors being tracked live.
Basically,
going to be the important one.
Basically, what we are, Jayana, is saying to you is that we will put the numbers, we will do live analysis as the numbers progress and give you a sense of not just what the result is, but why the voting has happened in these areas. For example, if we pick up a Punjabi Khatri cluster, or we pick up an outer edge cluster.
Outer edge is important.
We have a semi-urban cluster and we have a rural cluster. And we have a Jhuggi Jhopri cluster. Depending on the past performance there and how it figures out tomorrow, we'll be very quickly be able to get a sense of how things are going. But numbers matter, and the heat map, which is our last... Well, the heat maps basically, it's going to light up something like this in shades of yellow, pale yellow, right up to orange, for example, for a party like the BJP. And it's going to divide the whole city up in terms of how much vote share they got. For example, 0 to 20% is pale yellow, and deep saffron would be 35 to 40% plus.
Absolutely.
Now, what we need to look at is a bipolar race. Roughly, Jay, I think you need 33, 34% plus to be in a winnable situation, right?
40 plus in bipolar.
40 plus. 40 plus.
40 plus in bipolar.
So, for example, how does this work?
So this is beautiful. This is actually the Aam Aadmi Party's representation. The heat map that you're looking at right now is the Aam Aadmi Party's representation from 2013. Look at the beauty of, how visualization helps track the numbers.
Absolutely.
It was weak all along the outer edge, the rural areas. It's where you look at 0 to 20, 20 to 30. Look at the shades, pale yellow and just yellow. The stronger ones, orange and red, are actually within the heart of the city.
East Delhi.
East Delhi,
New Delhi.
The heart. Absolutely. New Delhi and a little up there in Chandni Chowk.
Tomorrow, the challenge, for example, if you see Delhi turn a brighter shade of orange towards the edges.
Absolutely,
if you see this turn, then the story will be that the Aam Aadmi Party has really grown geographically. And here on Times Now, we'll give you a social demographic sense through our analysis and these 4 properties. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was a brief introduction of the properties we are using. Remember, it's only on Times Now that you have analysis through properties. We use the firewall, the cluster, the spectrum, and of course the heat map, because as I never tire of telling you, 80s style election broadcasting is dead. The swing alone, I can tell you, is absolutely outdated. It's antediluvian in today's context. Question is simple. My next question goes to our political panelists. Ashish, do you believe the Aam Aadmi Party has outmatched the BJP in its strategic approach to fighting an election? That's question number 3. Ashish.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And Arnab, I can say with a lot of pride, actually, that the people of Delhi now will expect a different kind of politics. No matter which way these results go, the usual kind of political campaigning, I mentioned it on your show a couple of times, that where traditional political parties, just 15 days ahead of elections, they switch on their war machinery, put in a lot of money, put in their big leaders, carry out big newspaper ads, put ads on TV and radios, and think that they are going to win the election, is not going to work in Delhi anymore. We have raised the benchmark of political campaigning by going door to door, by going gully to gully, discussing issues, common man's issues, and even drawing the manifesto after wide consultation. We have made the common man a stakeholder in Delhi's politics, and that is going to stay. So this is where the BJP faltered. They thought that after winning the Lok Sabha elections, they are just going to come into election and they are going to take Modi around and do 5-6 big events, and the people of Delhi are going to vote for them. That's not going to work anymore. So that's one big difference.
Have they learned the lesson? If you prove to be right, then the question really will go to Sambit Patra, and he'll have to answer tomorrow. AAP was unwilling to enter into a personal fight. AAP was unwilling to respond to the anarchist jibe. Sambit, it really boomerang back. The Bhagoda Church. The ads and the cartoons targeting Arvind Kejriwal and his family. They worked on grassroots issues, smart caste strategies, working to the party's advantage. You were the ones on a daily basis running a Kejriwal-centric campaign. You got your strategy wrong this time. Sambit, at least you can admit tonight. And you can also respond to Ashish.
Arnab, first, each of my answer, in fact, is with the caveat attached that let us patiently wait for the result tomorrow. But having said that, let me answer both your question and Ashish's question. The answer to this is, I believe, I have been using a word since long in most of these debates, and you would have heard me. And today, thankfully, Arnab, even you used that word when you were explaining the very beginning of this debate, guerrilla tactics. The guerrilla tactics of Aam Aadmi Party has really been phenomenal in these elections and the elections before as well. They sprang up with number of abusers, accusing.
No, the guerrilla tactics are not abusers.
Can I ask?
No, the guerrilla tactics are not abusers. No, one second. Guerrilla tactics are not abusers.
Interjecting. Allow me to complete. I have my own thought process. Let me complete it. Thereafter, you can all counter me. What I mean to say is, if you say that we were the ones who started individual attacks on Mr. Arvind Kejriwal and people of Aam Aadmi Party, then I would rebut by saying that the Aam Aadmi Party's inception itself was on the basis of abusing and accusing. Every second day they took up people's names.
That's going for 2 years back. I'm talking about this election. Responses, Sambit, I have to take responses from the studio. Sambit, I need to take responses to this from the studio. Who goes first? Sabha.
Does the BJP not believe, I mean, do you think what you expected your opponents to be polite? And what is guerrilla about a ground campaign?
Absolutely.
I believe Mr. Kejriwal did 120 rallies.
No,
What was tolerable in a fledgling street movement
you all don't
is not tolerable in a prime minister of the country. Can't they realize that difference?
One by one.
One second. Nobody buys your argument. You're playing martyr that we didn't do guerrilla tactics. I mean, you must accept the AAP had an unconventional reach strategy. They got the selfie with Muffler Man. They got the AAP buzz. They got the Rang De Delhi. There were Delhi dialogues. There was personalizing of the campaign. And none of it they responded to you. You responded to them. Ajay Da.
And the AAP campaign was definitely more positive than the BJP's campaign, which was highly negative, directed at the personality of Arvind Kejriwal. And by doing so, firstly, it gained him sympathy, also built up his stature, and also lost you a lot of votes.
What was the need to put the ad?
The so-called guerrilla campaign was actually going to the people. He is referring perhaps to the Vietnam strategy. Vietnam strategy was going to the people. It was not guerrilla campaign in terms of throwing bombs. It was guerrilla strategy of going to the people, going to the jhuggi jhopri, going to the poorest of the poor. That is if it's called guerrilla.
I think regardless of the outcome, right, we still don't know what the result will be. The BJP did 3 things in this election, in its campaign, that I think are wrong. They're bad for Indian politics, they're bad for democracy. Number 1, parachuting in a leader over the heads of your local party cadre and party leadership. Number 2, getting down and dirty, running a campaign that personally targets the opposition's leaders in a very, very horrible way.
The campaign which is Sata ke liye bachcho ki jhuti kasam tak bhi khao.
And the third,
for example,
the idea of throwing money in the form of advertisements and the wall-to-wall campaigning. These are 3 strategies which are bad for democracy.
Sambit, you've been out-strategized. The point being made is, within 8 months of the general election, you've been out-strategized. Navika is also coming in.
Navika is also coming in. Also, one very simple point. Arvind Kejriwal never once referred to Narendra Modi in any of his election rallies. Not once. None of their ads was centering towards the BJP or Narendra Modi, whereas the entire campaign the BJP ran was centering around Arvind Kejriwal, his failures, and the negative side of Arvind Kejriwal. Do you think that strategy has gone wrong somewhere?
Let's get Sambit a chance. Yeah, Sambit.
Now, most importantly, what's the game of election? In election, in fact, the opponents have to expose each other.
Is it a game?
Please don't have to interrupt me every time. You don't have to interrupt me. Please understand what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that in election, the best strategy is to expose your opponents. And that is how every political party functions. And as far as Aam Aadmi Party is concerned,
Priyanka doesn't agree.
we had to expose the myth that they had built around the 49 days. The myth that everything in this universe...
Priyanka doesn't agree. Priyanka.
49 days.
Priyanka and Ashish are both coming in. Priyanka first, then Ashish.
That's the reason as to why. No, I have not.
Okay, Ashish first. Ashish, go ahead. Ashish, go ahead. Ashish, go ahead.
Janata Party was to
Ashish, go ahead.
Where the Aam Aadmi Party had gone wrong.
A game we need to expose each other in, but then they didn't respond to you. What they don't respond to you, then the nature of the game changes.
I think the people of this country, I think people are discerning enough to understand the difference between exposés in public interest and personal attacks. What BJP was indulging in was personal attacks, caricaturing our leaders, heaping abuse and insult on us, and what we were doing was we were raising pertinent questions of public interest. Sambit made a point that our DNA is expose, our DNA is press conference. Today, a newspaper report vindicates us what we had been saying all along, that there are names of big fishes in the HSBC list, which earlier the UPA was shielding and now even the BJP is trying to shield. We have always raised issues of public interest, probity, corruption, integrity in public life. We never, one second, can I complete this? We never did anything where we made our entire campaign personality centric. Whether we were India against corruption or later when we became a political party. Black money, yes, we did expose it on black money, but they were not about individuals, they were not about individual entities, they were about the larger issue of black money. Two, when we raised the issue, when we did the expose on Satish Upadhyay, when we raised the issue of Satish Upadhyay being a contractor of Anil Ambani and installing meters, we raised the issue that, look, you have a clear conflict of interest with a Bijli company. And you are also a political functionary, president of Delhi BJP unit, at the same time installing meters.
Let me...
So we raised issues which were in public interest. And what you did was all propaganda. We were never indulging in false propaganda.
Personality clash. You said that you had never attacked any personality with Ashish Khaitan, but let me remind you of the fact that in spite of the fact that Mr. Narendra Modi was performing in Gujarat, in spite of the fact that country wanted Mr. Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal left from Delhi and went to Gujarat to attack Mr. Narendra Modi's credibility. He went to
we are talking about this election, not the Lok Sabha election.
Congress somehow
never attacked personally. You have been attacking personally Mr. Narendra Modi. Only when you realize the powers of Narendra Modi that he is.
Okay, Priyanka.
And that is the advantage that Aam Aadmi Party is taking.
Priyanka, a lot of the results are due tomorrow. My fourth question, I quickly put this to the panel. Quickly put this to the panel. I'll get one answer from each. My fourth question is, will the BJP be rueing its decision not to call for elections after the Lok Sabha victory? I think yes. What do you think?
Definitely.
That's going to be the biggest factor.
Monumental blunder.
Monumental blunder?
It certainly should. This election has been all about the blunders that the BJP has made. Right from day one.
I don't think, Arnab, because they would not have won Jharkhand, they would not have won Jammu Kashmir, they would not have won Haryana, they would not have won Maharashtra. Having strategized one, with a clear-cut strategy, they went in for election. They never wanted to have it. When Kejriwal went to Mr.
Delhi
why did not they hold the election at that time?
One second. The BJP was at its peak right after the Lok Sabha victory. The BJP thought the peak would carry on for longer. How long is where they made the mistake.
That's not the only point. The point is the BJP was at its peak and the Aam Aadmi Party was at its lowest.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the other factor.
Kumar Ketkar, one at a time. Kumar Ketkar.
Congress did not exist. AAP was down and BJP was at the top. It was completely wrong to postpone the decision.
I agree with you. Ajay Bose.
We did a program, if you remember, you and me, about whether the AAP is coming apart. And I said, don't write off the AAP yet, if you remember. But that was the time when the AAP was seriously in danger of
Nirja, please. Nirja.
It gave the AAP actually to consolidate at the ground level. They had their Vistar mission. They had specific groups to move specific communities. Now, if you'd not given them that kind of time, the last 3-4 months, it would have been a very different story. But I want to ask Sambit this question.
Was it a case?
Was it a case of overconfidence by the BJP, or I would say arrogance, which reflected in all its decisions?
I think it's a very relevant question, but if I give Sambit the opportunity to reply to that, I'll go way over time. But I just want to add a caveat here. My question is always this. Remember, many of the BJP defeats in 2013 were wafer thin. Now, I'm only playing skeptic here and saying, just remember, a lot of the BJP defeats were wafer thin, which means they were close. Now, if the defeat was almost by a whisker, many of them. I'm putting this for statistical analysis. You can all say that it doesn't matter, the mood is pro-up, but they were by a whisker.
Yeah.
They weren't very bad losers. Where they lost by a whisker.
So it will be photo finish.
I'm saying photo finishes can't be ruled out.
The main thing that's changed, why the BJP has made such a big mistake, is that Narendra Modi was the man who was taking on the elitist Delhi thing.
Up.
And now he's been upstaged at that role by Arvind Kejriwal.
Absolutely.
And by giving them, that is the key to this election.
Absolutely.
He was the anti-establishment figure, now Kejriwal has taken that
I need to give them a quick...
I don't think you can judge this election with traditional paradigms.
You've been saying that repeated. You've been saying that repeated.
Completely new move.
Yes,
the one takeaway from Delhi will be that the BJP will desperately hope the Congress strengthens a bit. Otherwise, they are in real trouble in other places.
I've said this before. The BJP would be hoping that Rahul Gandhi does something to stay on for a little longer. Well, we've been talking to a lot of people. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for the response you're giving to our coverage. And I want to say February 10th is the hashtag, February 10th with Arnab is the hashtag trending #1 in India right now. This is the first time, even before I begin my broadcast tomorrow, there's been such an overwhelming response from so many of you. Many of you are asking me, can anything change on Tuesday? Well, I'll be here 7 a.m. tomorrow to discuss what happens. By 10 a.m., we'll give you a complete picture. Don't have to bunk office or not go to school or college, but track us wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Coming up at 9, is it going to be BJP versus all? If the Aam Aadmi Party wins, that's the all India picture we're interested in. That's the super prime time debate. I'll see you on the other side in a few minutes.